My name is H.A. Goodman. I'm an author, columnist, and journalist, and to read my writing and to see my latest CNN appearances and my MSNBC appearances, you can go to hagoodman.com. Wikileaks 10 is out. So Wikileaks has released the 10th batch of Podesta emails. And this is after, now, let's just look at what took place right before Wikileaks 10. At first, one CNN host says it's illegal to read Wikileaks, but you should only trust the media to filter through the thousands of emails. So you're engaging in illegal activity. Then, of course, the Clinton campaign says these are fakes and forgeries, but you're still engaging in illegal activity, reading documents that aren't real, or they're from the Russian government. Then the Ecuadorian embassy, so Ecuador cut, that was the state actor that apparently cut Julian Assange's internet connection. So they didn't have an internet connection in the Ecuadorian embassy for a while. I don't know if it's back up, but that was last night. Now we have Wikileaks 10. I'll read you an article, and I'll read you interesting, insane emails that show massive, not just election fraud. They undermine democracy because it's the Clinton campaign working directly with media, whether it's NBC or Politico or the New York Times, major publications. So when people say, well, the election's not rigged, that's a conspiracy. They shipped a laptop in the mail. Bill Clinton's aide shipped Hillary Clinton's laptop in the mail. The FBI believed it. But aside from that, aside from her using a private server for convenience with top secret information that was unencrypted, the server was unencrypted, connected to a BlackBerry the NSA said she couldn't use. Aside from all of this, when the media shapes a narrative and you have Bernie Sanders on the left and Donald Trump on the right who do not have the advantages of actually calling up and speaking to reporters and saying, hey, this is what I want you to craft. This is the narrative I want you to go ahead and communicate to the American public. So when people say, oh, well, Clinton is going to win. Yeah, she's probably going to win because she controls the media, or at least a lot of people within the media who are given the task of informing the public, shaping the narrative. Gay marriage is one example, so I'll read you. The newly released emails include campaign staff exchanges on handling media queries about Clinton's flip-flopping on gay marriage. So she was against gay marriage up until 2013. Galvanizing Latino support and locking down Clinton's healthcare policy. The organization had already released WikiLeaks already published over 12,000 Podesta emails online by Sunday. This latest release brings the number of Podesta emails now to over 15,200. This morning, WikiLeaks said in a tweet that it was activating contingency plans after co-founder Julian Assange's internet link was intentionally severed by a state actor. Okay. So I'm going to read you right now some really interesting, disgusting articles when you think about it. So, and it's just insane because it is the Clinton campaign working alongside journalists. Now, Trump doesn't have this advantage. Politico and NBC and the New York Times don't call up the Trump campaign to talk to them, to see, if things are okay with their narrative or if things are okay with the story they're crafting. That's not the advantage that Bernie Sanders had, and it's not the advantage that Trump has. So it's not about ideals, or it's not about principle. Left, Bernie Sanders; right, Donald Trump. It's all about Hillary. Politico, gay marriage. That's the subject. Christine Quinn had a long convo with Annie Carney of Politico. Christine and I talked before, and she called me after to give me the rundown. I think her validation will help tremendously. And this is a spokesperson for Hillary for America. Let's get technical with her and pick through the transcripts from Terry Gross if we need to. I believe they're referring to the NPR interview that basically called out Hillary Clinton. She didn't like that. To Tony's point yesterday, she refers to it as a position she had in the context on evolving along with the rest of the country, which was absolute baloney. Hillary Clinton is completely and utterly poll-driven. We know from prior WikiLeaks emails that they poll tested attacks on Obama's Muslim heritage, or the fact that he used cocaine, okay, or that he grew up in the most populous Muslim nation. These were all attacks that they poll tested to see what they could get away with. In January of 2008, yes, they spread the birther myth. We have proof. FYI, I had a good chat with Fred and HRC and Chad Griffin. Call Andy Carney. So these people, so call the reporter. Basically, this email is talking about this email is talking about helping kind of shape the narrative that, well, Hillary Clinton didn't flip-flop. She was just evolving with everyone else on gay marriage. God forbid she stands for something. So literally she said she had a public and private face to investment banks, and nobody cares. You have a Vox. One guy at Vox said, well, how do you know that the private position is the real position? Well, Vox, when Hillary is talking to people who will give her money, that's the real position. When she's talking to the public to get them to vote for her, she'll say anything. That's how we know her public and private face are at odds with one another. And that's how we know she will flip on the TPP. So she's saying she's against the Trans-Pacific Partnership. She pushed for it over 45 times. Now, and no doubt, her private face is that she's going to push for it and sign it and get it through when she is, if she's elected. Then there's some insane Bill Clinton NBC interview. So check this out. This is crazy. This is from Jennifer Palmieri to Podesta and a whole bunch of everybody at the Hillary campaign. We got a readout of Bill Clinton's NBC interview from our friends in Africa. Going in, NBC agreed to do 70% of the piece on work of the Clinton Foundation and 30% about the book. How does this even... Do you think Trump gets this? Do you think Trump gets this amazing, cushy, cozy, cuddly type of situation? Do you think Bernie did? You think Bernie could go ahead and call up NBC or call up Politico and say, hey, you know what? I want you to focus on this, not that. Use 70% of whatever you're doing with this. So absurdly, NBC is still promising Craig they will stick by a 70-30 agreement. By using footage of the event, it's like they're not even happy. So you have to read this. This is WJC NBC interview. So Palmieri and all of them, they're getting information. So the access is insane. What it is access. They know people at major publications and major networks. And they could go ahead and when you talk about polls, the American public is informed not by reading books, not by reading newspapers, by watching television. This is a situation where Hillary Clinton is controlling the narrative on cable news or just news stations, and also controlling the narrative when it comes to political sites or political publications. But generally, voters get, when they see CNN and they see 10 days in a row, Trump grabs women by the you-know-what, and it actually says on screen the whole thing. You get 70% of Bill Clinton and the foundation and the good things it does, but never focus on Bill Clinton's numerous female accusers and the fact that he is accused of rape. So we can go on forever about that, but definitely check this out. There is so much here. On climate change, you say, well, climate change is important. This election it is important, but this election, you had a choice. The American people had a choice between incremental change and a phony, two-faced person in Hillary Clinton who got Iraq wrong, Libya wrong, Honduras was complicit, wants to have a regime change in Syria, is advised by neoconservatives, and even with core issues important to Democrats. This is a forward. Martin O'Malley, zero out fossil fuels by 2050. This is one of the people in Hillary Clinton's campaign, John Podesta. Martin O'Malley published an op-ed this morning calling for 100% renewable energy by 2050. Tom Steyer has praised it, as well as some other environmental types. This is very good. Nothing wrong with that. You should have goals. Hillary Clinton has zero long-term goals in terms of vision, trying to reach for something that's phenomenal or amazing, like no emissions or renewable energy by 2050. They don't want that. They have a, quote, realistic view of politics. So it's not Bernie Sanders, it's not Dr. Jill Stein, and it's not even Martin O'Malley. Quote, I don't know much about the issue, but zeroing out fossil fuels in 35 years seems unrealistic. Why does it seem unrealistic, Hillary campaign? Why is it unrealistic, Clinton campaign? If you set the goal now, why would that be unrealistic? To my amazing subscribers below, in 35 years, we can't zero out fossil fuels. We can't go ahead and find alternative energy sources to where we could save this planet. So when people say, well, I can't vote for a Trump, he doesn't believe in climate change. Apparently, these people don't either. 4 years of Trump, I'm okay with. 4 years of Hillary Clinton, I'm not happy, but I would rather have 4 years of Trump and 4 years of Hillary Clinton, who has not only is afraid to disclose her speech transcripts, but we know from these emails, she backtracked, flip-flopped on gay marriage, really doesn't care too much about fossil fuels, doesn't want to go ahead and ensure that we zero out fossil fuels in 35 years. So many other issues. Then, of course, there's the emails they're trying to cover up with the emails. Wikileaks and Julian Assange are doing this country, the United States of America, a great favor. I have an article out with my buddy Walker Bragman, very talented, brilliant writer, and it's coming out tomorrow, and it's going to be amazing. So definitely check that out. It's in Paste magazine, and it's going to be great. It's basically talking about quote unquote Russian hackers and their influence upon our pristine democracy.